How long before we hit the critical mass where these countries can no longer give any more weapons to Ukraine without absolutely hurting themselves? So now we're at critical mass.
Slovenia came out 20 tanks. I think so.
Russia could just roll with Belarus through Poland right now. Poland can't handle. They're out of ammo. They've got nothing spare. They've got no reserve.
Well, aren't there like a shit ton of U.S. troops in Poland?
That's all that would. Well, shit ton meaning what? 10,000?
I mean, there's a couple. There's armored brigades there with M1s, and there's. I don't believe there's any M1A2 V3s there. You know, Poland got M1A2s to hold them over until those are completed.
Actually, those would last a week in a real fight anyway.
There with the Americans, but they just started coming out.
I've got a question about the Abrams, Vaughn. Did you work on them, Vaughn? When you
so I was a crew. Well, I mean, I worked on them, but when I had to, but I was a crew member. So we had maintenance that we did, and then they had maintenance that mechanics did.
Yeah. So my question is, driver the armor above the driver's head versus high explosive rounds seems to not work from what I've read. Is that not an extremely dangerous aspect for an armored vehicle?
I'll tell you what. I mean, they always show like the angle of the metal, will help deflect away the round. But I mean, I wouldn't want to be in the driver's hole and get hit with a sabot round or a heat round, just because. I mean, if it hits the armor, like in the turret part, it might not. The jet might not go down through the roof into the driver, but I mean, you're talking about armor that's only a few inches thick, and I mean, the angle helps with certain types of rounds, but like I said, I think like the M1's vulnerable from the top, probably more so in some ways than the Russians' tanks because they don't have reactive armor on them. But then again, we're going to have active protective systems, so that's a whole nother level there.
Right. Does anybody actually?
The driver's hole is a vulnerable spot. And the roof is a vulnerable spot.
Well, not even that. From the studies I've read, there's a YouTube channel called SY Simulations that does a bunch of like that. They at least whether they're trustworthy or not, I don't know. But from what they've said, even an explosion at the turret, right, non-penetrating, the
shockwave will kill the whole crew.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's possible. Yeah, because I mean, when we're in the tank, I mean, sometimes they'll give you like ballistic. Like a vest, you have your helmet on with your stuff, but it's not going to protect you from that concussive wave. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, certain rounds, I mean, even though it stops the round on the outside, that shockwave will go through and it's considered a lethal, shockwave on the crew.
But
so, I mean, like you're talking about, especially around the turret ring there where the driver's hole is. And if you can get in there, I mean, you're taking off the gunner's legs, the commander's legs. You're probably blowing the shit out of the loader, and then it's going right on the back into the engine. So,
is it even relevant to talk about them? Because but and the Leopard are both way too.
Craig, you're breaking up bad.
Yeah, I couldn't hear.
The reason I ask is because like we had talked about it before, and you guys brought up Abrams. I'm like, oh, now's the time to ask the question, I guess.
I mean, it's a good tank, but I mean, it's going to have vulnerabilities. Just
as I understand it, there's 70-ton tanks.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing I think too. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I'm not. They obviously operate in all kinds of conditions, and they would have to in the war. But that tank is so fucking heavy, and it just doesn't seem like there's going to be good places for it to be utilized properly. I mean, if you're going to take an M1 and try to engage Ukrainian tanks at like 1,000 yards or 500 meters coming out of wood lines, you might as well just go get a T-64 and do that shit. Because at that close, everything's going to over-penetrate. You don't need a special tank or a special round. But I mean, if you want to sit up on a hillside on the Kherson side and like smoke T-90s from 2,000 or 3,000 meters away, that'd be great. But that's not probably going to be a situation that presents itself. I just don't see any situation where the American tank would be able to kill at long distance like it's made to do. I mean, we could go in there and blast and point blank, but like I said, we start doing that shit, then you're just as vulnerable as a T-55 or anything else. Because I could throw a grenade in your hatch. I can, I don't want to talk about. There's a lot of ways to disable an M1. Including small arms, if you really were like insane and wanted to try.
Well, but that kind of gets into the concept. You're never going to really see tank on tank purely
Doesn't exist yet.
Yeah. I mean,
back to what we were talking about. Like we were talking about Poland, right? And they had You said they were American armored.
Brigade.
What were they? Brigades or battalions?
Yeah, I think there's a couple brigades over there floating around in rotation.
Is that deterrence? Is it there for purely deterrence? Because I don't see America just sending it, into Ukraine, going full send. But you hear it talked about every single day.
It's deterrence 100%.
I mean, it's deterrence in a way, but it's so far away from the front lines. It's not that kind of deterrence. I mean, it's like they're there and they can come in, but they're not like just over the hillside, right? Like, oh shit, we better be good because the Americans are there,
So like the Belarusian army, they're there, but they can come in, but